What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Turn on the Jets podcast. I'm your host, Will Parkinson, at WillPaul11 on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Thursday afternoon, Tyrod Taylor is starting against the Ravens. We are doing lots of mock draft talk this time of year. People are angry about a trade up in a random ESPN midseason mock. We have people freaking out over Fernando Mendoza describing a basic layered throw concept and how smart he is. We have people angry about a million different things. Going to walk through it all. Jets have a game this weekend. I will probably either have another episode on Saturday with a guest or multiple, obviously, next week as well. I want to kind of talk a little bit about the Fields and Tyrod situation a little bit further. Hit on a few things that Joe, Connor, and Paul and Meigs and Dan all hit on this week already. Just kind of throw my 2 cents in there and then preview the game a little bit and what you should kind of be expecting going into this one. Fields and Tyrod of it all. Look, I think I talked a lot about this. I think I ranted for like literally 8 fucking minutes about how just bad Fields has been and how hard it is to evaluate the offense. And while he's a good dude and all those different things, and he's had 2 flashes in the pan, nice games against Pittsburgh and Cincinnati. Mostly, it's been really awful this year. And it's not just that they don't score points. There's no semblance of a passing game at all. It's not everything's not his fault. They don't have enough at receiver, right? Like that is very much the case. And not every single game and every single drive has the offensive coordinator, the O-line, everyone been just like unbelievable. But for the most part, the O-line's been really good. The running game has been really good. I think the tight end play has been pretty solid. Last week, the receivers, look, Adonai Mitchell did not have his best week 100%, but like I just sit there and it's like pulling teeth to get a first down completion. And the O-line's getting beaten and battered half the time because teams are just blitzing 7, 8, 9 guys because there's no threat of a passing game. And they know Justin Fields is going to wilt under pressure. So, it was time. It was time a while ago. The Bengals game happens. The Bengals are the worst defense in the league. And, while Fields was good in that game, he was terrible against the Cowboys, and the Cowboys are one of the other worst defenses in the league, right? So this is not like an overreaction against a good Patriots defense. He was really bad against Cleveland. He was really bad in the Bills game. He was really bad in the Cowboys game. He was pretty bad in the Dolphins game, all things considered, in non-garbage time, right? Like there's a lot here. So in the Carolina game, he was horrendous, right? I think if Tyrod's healthy, he starts the Bengals game, they probably still winning that game no matter what. They're probably still beating Cleveland no matter what, right? I don't think quarterback play in either game was the ultimate difference. Again, it was nice to have competent play in that Bengals game, but generally speaking, right, like they got their couple wins. They had the bye week. Fields comes back and was terrible against Cleveland. They get the win in spite of them, and then was horrendous again on Thursday night. Tyrod's a guy that, look, man, like, is Tyrod a great quarterback or some awesome player? And all of a sudden the Jets are going to go win 5 of the last 7 games? Probably not. Tyrod at least will run the offense. He will give guys opportunities, right or wrong. But at least you can sit there and probably evaluate A.D. Mitchell a bit more. You can probably evaluate John Mechie a bit more. If we see Garrett Wilson at all, which I still feel like is very 50-50, we see him again this year, you can at least get some evaluation on Garrett. He'll throw Arian Smith a deep ball. He was hooving him downfield to Josh Reynolds. Like, he has no problem, giving his receivers a chance. He holds the ball forever as well, and is less mobile, but again, he'll hold it forever and throw it. So I look at this and I think to myself, like, listen, man, Tyrod's not perfect. He's likely going to get injured probably. If it's not this week, he'll get injured the next 3 to 4 weeks. It is interesting. Fields is the backup. I would have expected maybe Brady Cook to be the backup and kind of just totally shut Fields down. Pretty obvious. They don't think Brady Cook's even ready to be a backup at this point, and that's why they've gone the direction they've gone. But yeah, like, this is Tyrod's show until he gets injured, if we're being totally blunt about it. And I hope he doesn't get injured. I hope Tyrod can put together 6-7 starts here and finish out the year. And maybe this is it for him, after the year. But man, like, this has to be Tyrod's show for the remainder of the year. And it's really because of running the offense, being able to evaluate the offensive coordinator, be able to evaluate the offensive line a little bit more, be able to evaluate, some of these receivers, the tight ends, et cetera. And I just think, at some point, as much as Fields is well liked, like you run into a situation where the guys in the locker room were like, hey, I need them to play hard and buy into this culture. And I hold a lot of other guys accountable for poor play and other things. And Fields his play has been really poor. He's had costly fumbles and different things of that. Like, we had to make the move. Now, what happens after when Tyrod eventually gets hurt? Because let's be honest, again, I hope to God it doesn't happen, but there's a good chance it might. If Tyrod gets hurt, I'm under the belief you should just play Brady Cook the remainder of the year. He's not going to be very good. There's a reason he was an undrafted free agent. There's a reason that he was a third or fourth stringer all summer and still throughout the fall. That said, there is a little bit of pop in that arm. He is a little bit mobile and the whole thing. So maybe he could be, a bit of a, he could be a bit of a Mike White fun type of like a fun backup, right? Maybe he's just a third stringer long term. Maybe he's a backup long term. That'd be great if he's a backup long term. It'd be really nice for the Jets, theoretically speaking, if Brady Cook shows enough in, 3 starts at the end of the year. They go 1-2, but like he throws for 225 and a touchdown, no picks, or 2 touchdowns and a pick, and shows some spunk and swagger and these different things that command of the offense a little bit, where he doesn't look totally out of place. And you're like, hey, man, now we're going to draft somebody. It's Brady Cook and somebody else. Or we go the veteran route and Brady Cook's a $750,000 backup, right? Like, those are real things. I'm not like confident that's going to be what's going to happen. It's more likely than not. He's no better than any of the 1,000 quarterbacks. He's no better than a Bryce Petty situation. You hope that's not the case, but unless injury, both guys are injured. Like, I don't know what really the point of playing Fields is the remainder of the year. It only hurts him. He's been benched twice now. The offense, it doesn't really help you at all. Like, I don't, again, I don't know what the right answer is. I don't think like, I don't foresee that being, or there's no reason to do it. I just don't see the reason to do it. End of the day with that situation. Let's drop the quarterback stuff. We'll move on to some of the other topics. I want to talk a little bit about the quarterback situation, the defensive coordinator situation. Just hit on these a couple things real quick. We'll have plenty of time to talk about this. Let me tell you. I'd say this. When it comes to defensive coordinator, the fellas was talking through it a little bit, and they talked a little bit about 2 guys that I want to just highlight a little. The Jim Leonard of it all is super exciting and would be an unbelievably fun hire. Again, it's got the Broncos ties. It has the Jets ties. Like, there's a lot there. He's assistant head coach right now, but he's obviously like the number 2 under Vance Joseph. If Vance Joseph stays and the Jets are able to give, Leonard the assistant head coach title and defensive coordinator title, and he can go. Can Muji and Glenn do enough to pry him, from the Broncos, who are a really good organization? They know they're going to lose people. Look, they lost Darren Muji last offseason, right? Like, they've had a lot of success. That would be obviously, I think, a dream. I mentioned Jim Schwartz. I think I understand the Raheem Morris stuff. I'm just would be a little less excited about that than it would be like a Schwartz, because again, I know he's a retread, but man, like the Browns defense feels like it's always balling. The Eagles defenses, those Lions defenses, like, just always feels like Schwartz has got those guys revved up. But again, I understand Connor's point to the same effect of like, does he become like this? Oh, I'm just the head coach of the defense. Him and Wink, a Rex Ryan type, Rob Ryans of the past, where like it could kind of cause a little bit of a divide. I don't think that'll happen. Especially with Morris, but Al Harris was the other name that was mentioned, and one of the other names mentioned. And the Bears right now have Al Harris on their staff. The Cowboys obviously did the last about 4 years or so. Look at Trey Diggs, healthy under Al Harris, all pro level corner. Take the football away. Deron Bland, under Al Harris, took the football away. All pro level corner. He's gone, and both those guys don't take the football away anymore. Diggs for many different reasons, but generally speaking, like, all those guys kind of fell off a cliff. Gets to Chicago under Dennis Allen. The Bears have the 3 league leaders in interceptions. If you want to, like, there's just a lot to the former player, like, Al Harris has shown the ability to develop DBs. He's shown the ability to rise through the ranks as a coach. He was a really good player. Knows the position really well. Is that somebody where Glenn's like, I'm going to go the newer route, right? A guy that was I think Al Harris played for 97 through 2011. Glenn was what, 94 through 2006, something like that, 2007. So like they overlapped for a long part of their career. And Glenn was in the NFC, when Harris was in Green Bay. Like those guys obviously overlapped. Glenn worked under Dennis Allen. Like there's a lot of overlap there. So he really would be an interesting possibility, and it would be a huge promotion for him. And Chris Harris is the other one who was named on Tom Pelissero does a coaches list every year. Guys that are promising young coaches are expected to be a part of coaching cycles. The Jets had Tanner Engstrand, Chris Harris, and obviously Chris Banjo, part of it. Banjo again also worked with Jim Leonard in Denver. Is he able to kind of convince him to come across the country and coach up the Jets defense, which will surely be infused with more talent too, especially free agency and trades, and potentially probably day 3 and maybe some day 2 picks in the draft. Moving on to the mock draft situation. Matt Miller of ESPN, as well as others, have kind of floated their midseason mocks, and most of them have the Jets trading up for Fernando Mendoza. I'm not anti-drafting Fernando Mendoza. I think he's put together a really, really impressive season against mostly inferior competition, but again, went into Eugene and beat Oregon. Dan Lanning, who never beats anybody of importance. But, again, went in there, was able to have a strong performance. He's only played 4 ranked teams over the last 2 years between Cal and Indiana. They're 2-2. It is what it is, right? Like they've blown everybody out this year. They have an easy Big Ten schedule, but again, they've taken care of business. He had the really cool comeback against Penn State where he played like dog shit in the beginning and then finished it out really well. And like it's easy to get excited. He's got a good arm. He's kind of more of that pocket passer type. Has some movement skills. Not super, super mobile, but like has the ability to run if needed and things of that nature. Mike Renner was on, talked about it. Can throw in tight windows. Certainly somebody that very confident in themselves, very confident in their ability. Is somebody that has shown the ability to process quickly when asked to. I still think there's some limitations against pressure and things of that nature. And again, it's just hard to know what some of the competition they've played. And kind of the personality, I think, is it's not problematic overall, right? He's kind of like corny or whatever you want to call it, super polished, if you want to call it that. There's something there, a little bit off, right? And not in a bad way. Like he's kind of at the football, like he's a football guy, right? Like he just is. He talks about it all the time. He's got a couple screws loose, don't we all? Everybody that played football in some ways does. So like it's not a bad thing per se at all. But I just always wonder about kind of how a lot of those things go over. And whatever. But again, like when I think the Jets draft him, they draft him. And like people get really excited, as they should. It's a guy that you're taking a shot and be a franchise quarterback. Do I think they're incompetent if they trade up to the first overall pick for that? No. Depends what they give up. In an ideal world, are you giving up multiple picks, if not all 3 picks out of next year's draft? Absolutely not. I think if you're giving up this year's, whatever, you pick 5th and a second rounder and one of the future ones next year, maybe it's the Cowboys one. Sure, like there's something to be an argument being made that's the right decision, because at least you're retaining, your additional first rounder this year. You'd still have a second rounder this year, multiple ones next year. You wonder, like, where's the line for them? I do think at the end of the day, guys like a Jaden Maiava, guys, like that coming out of into this draft class. We'll see with Dante Moore. Big matchup for Maiava and Moore both on Saturday afternoon. And, if Maiava's able to put together a few really impressive weeks here, he goes in and he beats Oregon, they're probably going to be a playoff team. If they're a playoff team, it'll be another 4 starts for Maiava. It'll get him up around that 30 start total. He's the nation's leading passer in yards and QBR. And, there's no bigger fan of Mekhi Lemon than me. There's, just in terms of like a lot of different things, right? I just wonder, like, if the Jets can get a third quarterback to be a part of this class, how much would it help them? And it would, you look at, even around the league, like what happens with the Raiders? Does Geno play well enough to earn a second year there? Because he's not played well at all this year. Does Shador Sanders, who looked awful on Sunday in his debut, his non-quote unquote debut, and the magical 3rd and 10 check down to Jerry Jeudy that he took 12 yards because he made 8 guys miss. Like, does Shador play well enough that the Browns are all in on Shador and they don't take a quarterback? Does Tennessee's new staff not like Cam Ward? Like, there's a million things that could happen between now and the draft, but I think the Jets have everything on the table. End of the day, if they love one of the quarterbacks, Simpson, Mendoza, if Moore comes out, Jaden Maiava comes out, whoever it may be, pick your Arch Manning gets, Texas magically gets in and they figure it out and Arch comes out because he's like, I don't know if I have another year in me, right? I don't know. John Mateer goes on a heater the next 5 weeks. Like, who knows? Whatever the guy they like is, love. Go get him. Take your guy with conviction and go for it. If they don't love a guy, especially in the draft, you have 3 first-rounders and hundreds of millions of dollars in cap space and all these picks. Maybe you figure out a veteran option. What I don't want them to do is just take a quarterback for the sake of taking a quarterback. That would be dumb as shit, right? That is stupid, and that is how you get yourself fired. I have no issue with, the idea of like, hey, let's take a quarterback on day 3. We think it can be a backup, and like that's all well and good, and I understand the concept of it. I just would be careful of like, this roster needs so much that is it worth, the wasting a potential top 100 asset on a quarterback you don't really see a future starter, value on. If the top 2 quarterbacks are gone, right? If there's Simpson and Mendoza and those guys are both gone and you're at 5, and Jordan Tyson, Carnell Tate, Mekhi Lemon, and Reese is there and Downs, like, dude, they'll be fine. That you're drafting probably 5 of the 7 best players, one of the 5 or 7 of the 7 best players, probably the top 5 best players in the draft. Again, maybe Bain goes and stuff like that. Like, the Giants take Peter Woods, go for it, man. But my point being, like, the Jets are going to be able to add quite a bit of talent in this draft. I joked about it, but if you told me the Jets walk out of round 1 with Carnell Tate and Mekhi Lemon, I don't give a shit who's playing. I could play quarterback with Garrett Wilson, Mekhi Lemon, Carnell Tate, Mason Taylor, Breece Hall, like, in that offensive line. Like, at some point, building this roster to a point and accumulating offensive assets to build a well-rounded team for whether the quarterback's in 26 or 27 is crucial. So just want to talk about that because, again, there's some big college games this weekend. Unfortunately, they're really only big games that are going to affect too much in the college football playoff. USC, Oregon is obviously, 1 out of 1 that I think, it'll be an interesting kind of test here, what everything looks like. It's a huge game. It's huge for Dan Lanning because I don't think Oregon gets in if they lose. It's huge for USC. USC gets in or is going to get in if they win. It's huge for Lincoln Riley. It's huge for Jaden Maiava, Mekhi Lemon, Jacoby Lane, like Dante Moore. The list goes on and on. It's a big game. Missouri, Oklahoma. It solidifies Oklahoma getting in the playoff likely? Does Missouri, some of the guys at Missouri able to kind of, I don't know, do they finish as like a 9-win team and all of a sudden it's like, whoa, like what just happened in Missouri and all these different things. So there's a lot going on. Let's focus for 2 quick minutes on Jets Ravens. I just talked for 20 minutes about a bunch of stuff that has no effect really outside of Fields and Tyrod on Sunday. A couple of different things I'm looking out for on Sunday. What is Azareye'h Thomas post-concussion look like? I think we're all really excited to watch him kind of get that kind of lane here of 7-8 weeks post-Sauce Gardner trade. Looked really good against Cincinnati. Unfortunately gets hurt really early on. Friendly fire from Jamie Sherwood. What's he going to look like on Sunday? The Ravens obviously have a nice skill set of players. What's that going to look like? What does, Will McDonald's 3 sacks away from double digits again? Is he able to get after more? Like, what's the defensive plan, I guess, on Sunday? Can some of these guys compete long enough and tackle well enough in space and show some fight and grit against a really good Ravens offense? And Lamar's banged up, and they were horrifying, last weekend. But can they go into Baltimore and show some fight and grit and have a good defensive plan? Offensively, it's Same kind of as last week, but like my eyes are on obviously Breece Hall. The Ravens are gonna try to do everything they can to take away Breece Hall. Can Mason Taylor have a really nice performance with Tyrod? Can we get 6 catches for 68 yards and a touchdown at Mason Taylor? Can Adonai Mitchell bounce back? The guy was open all damn day on Thursday night. It's a matter of him catching the football. Can he have a bounce back performance? Kind of feels like he was somebody that was putting too much pressure on himself, early on to make an impact on prime time. What's John Mechie look like, in his second outing or third outing as a Jet? Those are the kind of things I'm looking for. And can this offensive line continue to get movement up front? And does Glenn just have the guys prepared? Does he have a good game plan going in? Can they limit some of the penalties? All those different types of things. So, quick 20, 21 minutes here. Likely have a pot out on Saturday and then, hop right back into things next week. Appreciate it for listening. Enjoy your college football, Saturday, and enjoy the rest of the week. And we'll talk to everybody soon.